Welcome to Rumbo Minero. I'm Miguel Zavala, and together with Ivan Arenas, we will be in charge of hosting. Ivan, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, Miguel. Thanks a bunch.
Today, Ivan, we have quite an intriguing schedule. Dr. Alejandro Narváez will be joining us, making things even more interesting. The president of Petroperú met with Fitch Ratings to discuss the rating it received, aiming to address any concerns or issues. To the company from CCC Plus, and also about other interesting topics such as exporting of gasoline and oil to both the United States and Ecuador. Who else will we have? Ivan?
Also, Miguel, we will have Miguel Incháustegui, and he was the Minister of Energy and Mines. We are going to talk about mining, especially as an activity that generates foreign currency in this country, but also we are going to have an interview regarding the digital single window. What advancements can we expect, and what does the future hold for this tool? Stay tuned to Rumbo Minero for all the latest updates.
A very interesting program indeed. Before we move on to the interviews, we'd like to present you with a short report, originally produced by the Rumbo Minero press team. Simply make it happen.
The rating agency Fitch Ratings reaffirmed Petroperú's credit rating at CCC+, and projects that in 2025 the company will generate an EBITDA of $56 million against debt obligations of $175 million, which would leave a deficit of $490 million. Likewise, it emphasized that it does not expect substantial support from the Peruvian government for Petroperú's capital structure in the short term. During their financial restructuring efforts, Petroperú and Proinversion have identified 33 properties for sale, including residential homes, land plots, and unproductive farms, as part of their strategy for its operations. On the other hand, guaranteeing the provision of fuel sources is essential. The Talara refinery received 1 million barrels of crude oil from Ecuador as part of the plan to purchase in larger volumes to strengthen the supply to the national market. Petroperú is actively pursuing its strategy to enhance operations, bolster financial stability, and guarantee a steady energy supply for the nation. This approach is crucial for the company's long-term success.
The Rumbo Minero press team has excelled in preparing a great report. As we informed earlier, we are joined in our studio by Dr. Alejandro Narváez, the president of Petroperú. Dr. Narváez, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. How are you doing? Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, we wanted to begin by asking you to elaborate on this rating that Fitch Ratings has assigned, specifically a CCC Plus to the company. What lies ahead for the future of Petroperú?
Well, Fitch Ratings already completed an assessment last year. I believe they performed the action 2 times. Their rating has not changed to date. Well, it should have been better. Why? Because the figures compared to the 2024 fiscal year are better this year. For example, the EBITDA is very positive. It has been positive this quarter, and definitely in comparative terms, this indicator it's vital. It will be better this year. In fact, in the first half, our figures are better than last year. Therefore, it should have been, I believe we should give a slightly higher, more lenient rating. The stance he had last year is maintained. In March of this year, another rating was also done, Moody's, a stable valuation. Although the company is going through a difficult situation because we inherited a deep crisis, this cannot be changed overnight. For the past 8 months, the new leadership has been in charge. And I believe it is doing its best to reverse the figures we inherited. And surely this year will be very different from what 2024 was.
Are you changing your projections a bit between now and the end of the year from what you had announced at the beginning of 2025, and also to know how the first semester has gone for you?
Yes, we are going to. Comparatively, the figures are better. Our market share has increased from 25% to nearly 30% compared to last year's figures. This represents a significant growth in our market presence. On average, we sell around 100,000 barrels of oil every day, compared to the 75,000 that were sold before. And that says a lot. Also, this, thanks to the, let's say, the new marketing plans that we have been developing, we are currently in the process of expanding our exports. Previously, we did not export to the United States, Chile, or Colombia. Now we are exporting to these countries as part of our growing business operations. We export to Bolivia. That is, we are opening markets today. We are internationalizing, and that is also a sign of different, efficient management. The main focus is on Petroperú's fundamental need to expand in order to overcome the financial challenges it is currently facing. I was immersed before, right?
Economists and experts from various fields, they have indicated that the Petroperú board lives in a parallel world, right? That he isn't aware of the serious crisis he is going through. And nevertheless, their statistics, they are more than encouraging, aren't they? Compared to what these economists and analysts are saying, what can you tell them?
Yes, analysts and analysts, right? There are cabinet analysts and real-world practice analysts, right? I do not agree with the majority of them, as the figures are easily accessible to the public. Well, our key performance indicators are steadily improving. It's undeniable that the company has amassed considerable financial losses up to the fiscal year 2024. That is the result of previous managements. And that this year will surely be different. Well, I aspire. The current administration seeks at least a technical tie from a loss of 770 million that was in 2021. For achieving a loss of around 100 million or 50 million would be quite a remarkable feat, don't you think? Looking like this, observing the indicators of how it levitates and, of course, market participation, opening new markets, the difference is staggering. I think they are making a wrong interpretation. I don't know if it's in good faith. I believe it is an interpretation, let's say, intentional on the part of including those who were former officials of Petroperú, directors or presidents. That kind of distorted, false reading really saddens me. The image presented does not accurately reflect the true nature of the company. I am eager to engage in a debate, hear about your experiences, and encourage you to take a more proactive approach. And not spread a let's say, narrative completely detached from reality.
One of the key recommendations provided by Fitch Ratings concerning the issue of liquidity, which in turn might occasion that Petroperú fails to honor certain outstanding debts and consequently needs to seek foreign financing or increased support from the government once more. So how do you see this point? Also, in statements from the Minister of Economy and Finance, a new one was mentioned. What are your thoughts on the overhaul of Petroperú that is currently taking place?
Yes, of course. Keep in mind that our initial working capital was in the negative, amounting to $1.9 billion in total. Negative working capital of almost $2 billion. So it's an issue that has been dragging on. As I was saying a moment ago, such substantial figures like these, well, you can't. One, we can easily or quickly change it, can't we? Yes, effectively we have a problem with the cash register. Or let's say some financial stress. But we are moving forward. We always stay true to our obligations by honoring commitments to the banks, paying suppliers, covering payroll, and meeting tax responsibilities. It's normal to have a 30-day payment delay, or if necessary, 45 days. It is a common practice in the business world. Therefore, they are being handled, I believe that, with precision our financial situation. We undoubtedly require this. In order to enhance our daily transactions, we are striving to address our significant financial expenses arising from previous debt obligations. And we also compare ourselves to suppliers at 180 to 10, or they also have additional financial costs. Therefore, we are currently working on restructuring our long-term debt in order to alleviate our financial burden. Reprofiling this debt would significantly reduce our financial strain and create a more manageable situation. That allows us to get out of the problem we are going through. I believe that the company, with the new strategy, the new plans it has, will move forward without problems.
The issue with Lot 192, which Alta Mesa left in quite a complicated situation, one could say.
It's a rather unsightly situation. Why is it ugly? Because there are people who... They chose this company. It's worth telling you about it quickly. This company was selected by Bank of America, OFA. It cost $5,600,000. Several presidents have passed, including Paredes himself was part of this journey. And well, nothing at all happened. Ultimately, Alta Mesa departed from the scene. This company was not adequately qualified. A rigorous evaluation was not conducted to determine whether it had the financial backing to be the operator of this lot. And that too is a testament left behind, a truly unfortunate inheritance.
Absolutely. Let's discuss the matter concerning the new Talara refinery. Shall we begin the conversation now? We started a process for an internal forensic analysis. So in the first auction, this one was invalid and they will conduct another invitation. Can you share a bit about what this forensic analysis involves? Yes.
Well, there has been a great deal of questioning and numerous opinions, some of which were quite unfortunate, regarding the total sum allocated for the investment in the refinery. The figures are huge. Clearly, we're talking $5.5 billion. Roughly, it would have cost this modern refinery's construction. So, to clear up any doubts, to dispel this concern, these misunderstandings, what the current director of Petroperú has done is to establish a special commission, specialized and responsible for convening an international specialization of an audit called, in this case, forensic analysis. Unfortunately, we experienced the misfortune of not having any bidders capable of completing the work here. As a result, we are currently in the process of issuing a second call in the hopes of securing a contractor for the job. And they would carry out the work, the task of performing the audit, if it truly amounted to those 5,500 that are being mentioned. Or maybe it is something different, and the official reports that the specialist will carry out on that specific job will ultimately inform us of the details.
Correct. Doctor, finally, well, a few days ago, the Talara refinery completed the export of 209,000 barrels of premium high-octane gasoline, the United States Virgin Islands, and also 137,000 barrels. Turbojet A1 is a specific fuel designed for use in the commercial aviation industry. For Ecuador, what does this mean for Petroperú? And I also understand that they will also export to Chile.
These are new milestones. Petroperú has achieved new company milestones, now having a global perspective. With international clients on board, it has transformed into an open company, a shift from its previous operations. As I said, we export to Ecuador, we export to Chile, we export to... By offering our products exclusively to the United States, not every company does, we prioritize American customers as top-tier clients. This ensures that our products maintain a high level of quality and competitiveness in both pricing and value. Thanks to that, we have markets not only in the United States, but also in Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, and Bolivia. In my opinion, this is a positive announcement for the company and finally for every Peruvian. The revenue was generated accordingly. It is income for the company, the state trades, ultimately that transfers to the public treasury. The profit that Petroperú obtains finally feeds the national budget, right? Oh, and the shareholders are the officials responsible for managing the economy and overseeing mining operations. And they are the ones who ultimately benefit from that budget, from those revenues that Petroperú generates. So from that perspective, I think it's good for Peruvian companies to internationalize, right? I am completely confident that there will be no objections. And we are thrilled to announce our dedication to advancing the internationalization of Petroperú even further. Our latest contracts are expected to arrive in December, ushering in a new wave of opportunities ahead, and we hope that continues. And it's just a matter of persevering in the work of opening markets.
Dr. Narváez, we appreciate your presence on Rumbo Minero. And we are waiting for them. We await them over the next few weeks or perhaps months to find out about the advancements being made by this significant state-owned enterprise that belongs to every single Peruvian citizen.
Thanks to you.
Dr. Alejandro Narváez, president of Petroperú, was here. We're going to a commercial break and we'll be right back. Now, in our America Mining segment, I want to welcome José Gonzáles, international editor of the magazine, heading Miner. José, how are you? Welcome.
Nice to meet you, Miguel. Always a pleasure to be with you.
José, the Department of the Interior of the United States has just released a proposal for the triennial update of its critical minerals list, where they have included copper for the first time. The department has recently revealed their plan to introduce a new operational framework. Assessing the influence of supply chains on them and the U.S. economy requires considering copper among other minerals on the list. Understanding the impact of these resources is crucial for comprehending their contributions to the economy. And what details are known about the model?
Miguel, the U.S. government made a decision to include copper in a way that is like that. Potassium and silicon joined their critical minerals list. It's the biggest revision since they started publishing in 2018. This is a mandate of a law that is enacted every 3 years and includes 54 minerals. Apart from copper, silicon, potash, silver ores are mined in large amounts. The lead and the rhenium, and furthermore the tellurium, the arsenic, the copper, and the copper again, and the silicon were all incorporated because of the severe financial repercussions. Potential consequences caused by interruptions in the supply of processed products, as noted by the United States Geological Survey. In other words, the risk for copper and silicon lies with China, where most of both metals are refined. Potash has been included because the largest producer is Canada, and obviously it is a consequence of the tariff war and the effects it has on Canada, and the same happens with silver, as is the case with Mexico. Due to the United States no longer being a net importer or exporter, tellurium has been discontinued. The situation with arsenic, however, remains intriguing. It involves Peru when it is determined that the largest importer of arsenic to the United States is our country and not China. The new methodology divides critical minerals into three categories: high, elevated, and moderate, and it considers 84 raw materials. 402 industries and more than 1/200 scenarios evaluating what they call unique points of failure. The industry linked, the gene industry linked to critical minerals generates $4 trillion a year. And with this methodology, it aims to pinpoint individuals who may be adversely affected in the event of disruptions to supply chains, envisions the impact on them, and takes necessary actions. Where the country, the United States, should invest in terms of critical minerals and what partnerships should be prioritized. A positive moment for Peruvian copper.
On the other hand, Jose, the chairman of the United States Federal Reserve, has said in Jackson Hole, if the Fed decides to decrease interest rates in September, it could potentially impact metal and mineral prices. What consequences would such a rate cut have on these commodities?
And the relationship between gold and interest rates, Ivan, in the United States is inversely proportional. When rates decrease, gold tends to increase in value as it transforms into a lucrative investment asset that delivers superior returns. Because the returns on the bonds, and conversely, there is a tension, and right now the President of the United States has fired one of the governors of the Federal Reserve who is currently arguing the issue in the courts, which also highlights the benefit for gold, which remains at levels above $33.70 per ounce. Generally, the decrease in commodity prices benefits essential minerals, especially copper, within a positive context, which has helped contribute to the situation where the United States now acknowledges it as a critical mineral. It ought to keep upholding the present levels that indicate the recovery after the correction. The fact that the rates were not applied to the mineral cathodes, anodes, and concentrates.
Excellent job, Jose. Much appreciated. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Delighted.
If you want to stay informed about this and other topics, remember that you have the option to get the Rumbo Minero magazine for free by simply accessing www.rumbominero.com. Don't miss out on this offer. Here is a significant announcement you should be aware of. As previously mentioned, we have the pleasure of having Miguel Incháustegui, the ex-Minister of Energy and Mines, with us in the studio. Miguel, how are you? Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Miguel, we wanted to discuss mining as a means of generating foreign currency with you today. Your perspective on this topic is valuable to us, as well as the matter relating to the digital single window. One positive update we got was regarding the mentioned issue. Between January and June of this year, mining exports have seen a 17% increase compared to last year. This adds up to roughly 26,000 millions of dollars in sales situations, figures that could be better, right, if we weren't in a situation of political, social instability. What is your analysis regarding that?
Yes, well, that is indeed very positive news indeed. There has been a very important increase. This is fundamentally due to the fact that there's been a production increase, but I also believe the fundamental reason for that is that the prices are significantly higher than they were in the previous year, and they stay high, right? Now we must take the opportunity which has arisen. There is also the change in the energy matrix that is causing us to need more copper in the world by 2030, 2035, for example. For example, we are going to need more copper in the world. Peru's portfolio consists primarily of copper, making up 71%. Hence, the significant opportunity I perceive is that we need to take action. Work on how to create that portfolio that will be ready in a better time frame. And for that, we need to improve the social environment, try to, for example, improve what has to do with illegal mining, which unfortunately is growing and that in some way generates or to some loud noise among the investors. And the other thing is the issue of permits, how to make the permits come out in a more optimal time, right?
Miguel, the economist from Peru has just stated, so essentially, illegal mining associated with criminal activities, it has now become a major hindrance to the progress of important projects such as Michiquilay or Los Chancas, posing a significant obstacle to their advancement. both amounting to approximately $7 billion. Do you think that this situation, let's say, could potentially encourage more projects to be added to this list? Could illegal mining have a direct impact on mining investments, and how would the state react to this? In simpler terms, would illegal mining affect investment, and what would the state do in response?
I absolutely believe that illegal mining can certainly impede the progress of investments, that entire portfolio to be delayed. I believe that the state in these recent times, due to the strong illegal activity that has occurred in the Patas area, he responded with a delay, yet eventually responded. We must acknowledge his effort, which has generated, for example, a development board in Patas, has generated a whole special task force for combat. Now, in Cajamarca, for example, in the last 15 days, there have been some interventions. Well, exactly in those areas of Cayabamba, in Michiquile and Bambamarca. But I believe addressing the illegal activity in the Chancas project located in Cusco, Arequipa, and Puno is crucial. Unfortunately, there is a strong presence of unlawful actions that needs urgent attention. In order to tackle illegal mining effectively, a comprehensive strategy is essential, requiring short, medium, and long-term plans, along with a boosted budget allocation.
Miguel, one of the problems, right, that make a mining project, it took so long to come out is basically the issue with the bureaucracy and all the necessary permits. So just a few weeks ago, the IPE conducted a study on how long it takes for a mining project to go from the exploration phase to the production phase. Globally, the average has increased to about 28 years. In Peru, it takes almost 40 years. In your experience, why is it so difficult, or why has it become so difficult to implement this much publicized digital single window? I mean, we've been talking about it since for about 2 or 3 years now, if I'm not mistaken, since it was announced at Perumin. At first, there were plans to implement this, but ultimately, it did not come to fruition by experts, some experts from the uni. Then we had engineer Henry Luna here indicating that, unfortunately, the work that had been done had not been successful. Carried out with them, and who were now resorting to the World Bank for technical assistance and guidance, and also financial advice. What is causing such a delay in the implementation of this digital single window system?
I believe the lack of coordination between the energy and mining sectors, along with insufficient funding, is hindering progress. A larger budget is essential for better outcomes. I have listened with much pleasure to the minister's announcement that an agreement has now been reached with the World Bank. But as you say, this is old. Even in 2018, 2019, I remember the virtual one-stop shop being mentioned. Later, with Minister Romulo Mucho, it was announced that it was going to be implemented. Minister Montero is currently stating that an agreement has been reached with the World Bank. I believe what is lacking is a genuine sense of urgency, don't you think? We absolutely must implement that specific window because already the demand for minerals is immense. However, we cannot afford to miss out on the chance, as there will be a time when minerals will become extremely valuable, fetching high prices. Another substitute will appear, and it's likely
Like Argentina?
Exactly. So, I think that the single virtual window serves as a tool, but there are also immediate actions that multiple individuals have discussed. For instance, discussions may touch upon various topics, increasing the team that reviews the permits. What has happened in the preceding years is that while the permit for the expansion of Antamina was under review, the small tech team focused on that, and Zafranal and the others were suspended. So, with a greater number of technical personnel capable of analyzing, we could also reduce the necessary permits, couldn't we? The virtual single window service has also been held up because of the systems that must be integrated together. Therefore, we know that this will take time, and we must also do immediate things now.
Miguel, in recent days, the executive, along with several mining unions, formals, small and large, have sent some guidelines, some points for the Energy and Mines Commission of the Congress of the Republic to consider topics such as traceability, other topics like concessions, and others like funds. What is your analysis of this particular document, and what additional actions do you think Congress could take based on your analysis?
I think the progress at the technical meeting is positive. The Ministry of Energy and Mines has presented a new initiative to reformulate. This is exactly all that I had previously been working on. And I believe that the Institute, and I am sure that the Institute and the National Mining Society have participated in this analysis, even the Artisanal Miners Federations too. Confemin withdrew, unfortunately, but other associations have participated. And what I consider is that now that needs to be socialized more. What I would invite is for the ministry, together with society and the Institute, to further disseminate what this new project is about. I consider it to be a project that is technically better than the previous one. The risk I'm concerned about is that Congress will repeat the actions of the previous committee by making modifications to it once again, include things that are neither sustainable nor technically viable, and in the end, we end up in December with a project that is not the most suitable for everyone. I believe that through the technical committee space, that, in my opinion, could, for example, generate multi-actor spaces to properly inform what has been presented. Furthermore, don't forget to seek recommendations for continuous improvement, as every aspect can always be enhanced. Additionally, the Congressional Commission must convene multi-stakeholder gatherings, but try to maintain the essence of this project, because the most important thing is not to expand the REINFO, but rather that to build a powerful and strong MAPI law that allows formal artisanal mining to be formalized in a better time frame.
Perfect. Miguel, thank you very much for being on Rumbo Minero, and we hope to have you on our program again soon.
Thank you for the invitation. Much appreciated.
We were joined by Miguel Incháustegui, former Minister of Energy and Mines, here on Rumbo Minero. Bye. Well, now we move on to the Mining and Society block, led by Ivan Arenas. Go ahead.
Is the price of gold around $4,000 feasible? The ounce in the global market, according to what some technical studies are suggesting by the year 2026, it is highly likely that it is. Moreover, some studies, several important institutions already assure us that the price of gold, that is the price of an ounce of gold in the year 2029-2030, could even reach between $6,000 to $8,000 per ounce. That would undoubtedly be outrageous. Now, if by 2026 it rises to $4,000 per ounce of gold, we would be talking about the government in theory and on paper having some form of stability, because we would be discussing what is called a small or mini super cycle in the commodities market, particularly focused on gold, and also copper, another important metal in the country. However, these significant projections, these projections to 2026, an election year besides, clash with the reality of the country. And the reality of the country is that we are at this moment in a process of formalization with approximately 31,500 active REINFOs, which must complete this formalization process by December 31st of this year. Otherwise, what we will have next year is the expansion of REINFO. Besides that, you know that in the Energy and Mines Committee, it is currently under the leadership of a congressman who, in some way or another, has had associations with informal mining operations, and who has always come out for them. This Energy and Mines Commission will be responsible for drafting what is called the Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining Law. What is happening in the world is important, and what is happening in the country is also important. With the price of an ounce of gold, the continuous growth is expected to continue, with strong indications pointing towards an average of $4,000 in the near future. It's time to focus on finishing the formalization process rather than prolonging the reinforcement any further. Let's complete this task efficiently and effectively, and have a law for artisanal and small-scale mining. Next week, we will continue the conversation. Thank you very much.
Well, we have reached the end of the program. Ivan, well, we've had two interesting interviews. The first with Dr. Alejandro Narváez, president of Petroperú. That's great. The positive news is basically the export of gasoline and oil to countries like the United States and Ecuador, and soon to Chile. They are eagerly awaiting his approval of the partner with whom they will work on the lot, 192.
In addition to that, we interviewed Miguel Incháustegui, former Minister of Energy and Mines, Miguel, who basically spoke to us about that the volume of currencies, the significant role of modern mining in the production process, and its impact on the Peruvian economy. However, it is important to keep in mind the constraints and difficulties associated with the single window, despite its potential in optimizing processes and increasing efficiency. Do we need to deal with the bureaucratic red tape and permits when it comes to mining? I spoke with him and he gave us his scope on these topics.
Right, Ivan. Well, today the show was hosted by Miguel Zavala and Ivan Arenas. We look forward to seeing you next week on the same channel.